Welcome back to another episode of Critter Ed TV. I'm your host, Jed Dodds, and I'm here with my hip-hop and sidekick, Clint Elliott.
Jed, hip-hopping? I'm way too old for that.
Yeah, but we are going to be hipping and hopping today because we are going to be learning all about the poison dart frogs, an amazing animal on so many levels, especially that they are considered an indicator species. And Sandra, what does an indicator species mean?
An indicator species is a species studied by scientists to determine the health of an ecosystem.
Absolutely. And Amelia, why are poison dart frogs considered this indicator species?
Well, they'll be the first species to be affected if an ecological change occurs.
As an amphibian, that means that they're absorbing things through their skin, which unfortunately means that they're going to be the first species that's going to determine whether or not there's toxins or any sort of changes in that ecosystem. Now, Clint, do we have poison dart frogs here at the ranch?
We don't have them here at the ranch, but a good friend of mine, Lee, who owns Ever Evolving Exotics here in town, it's a great pet store. He happens to be an expert on poison dart frogs.
Well, I say let's load up and let's head over to Triple E and let's check out some poison dart frogs and learn all about them.
Let's go.
All right, guys, well, we've made it to EE, Ever Evolving Exotics, to check out some amazing poison dart frogs. So let's get out of this heat and let's go check out some frogs.
Well, come on, Jed, it's only 110 degrees.
110 is too hot out here. Let's get inside. Come on, guys.
It's nothing.
Wow, look how cool. Oh, I love this guy. He is so cool.
This is gorgeous, but Jed, we're here to see
All
poison
right,
dart
all
frogs.
right, stay
remember?
on track, stay on
Move
track.
it.
All right,
Beat,
all
let's
right, here
go.
we go. Hey, Lee, how's it going?
Doing well,
Yeah,
yourself?
thank you so much for allowing us to come in and shoot one of our episodes here.
Absolutely, guys.
Lee,
Thanks for
great to see you again, buddy.
You too, Clint.
Yep. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your store?
Absolutely. I'm Lee, and this is Ever Evolving Exotics. I will have been here 8 years in October,
Wow.
which doesn't seem, it felt like a blink of the eye so
That's
far.
fast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. We're a reptile amphibian specialty shop, so this is all we do here. These lizards, snakes, and of course frogs over here.
And today we're talking about the poison dart frogs, and we hear you are the man to not only show us, but also to tell us a little bit about what people should be thinking about when they want to bring poison dart frogs into their home as potentially a pet. And so why don't we go over and take a look at them and learn a little bit more.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
All right, let's do it. Wow, Lee, well, you have some amazing poison dart frogs here, and the poison dart frog is becoming a very popular pet over the last couple of years. But with every animal, there are definitely things that people need to know before they bring it into their home. So what are some specifics that people should know about poison dart frogs before they get one as a pet?
So two of the biggest things, especially concerning us living in Arizona, is going to be heat and humidity. Too hot for these guys and they'll essentially melt. You don't want. Too little humidity, which we also have an issue with, they're just going to dry up. So an easy way to fix that is have the right type of environment right off the get-go. So having things like a glass top that seals in the humidity and having central air conditioning, if you got something like swamp cooler or can't keep the temperatures ideal, these might not be the best fit for you, honestly.
Now, you're essentially setting up an ecosystem for these animals, which needs to be established before you even bring them into that habitat.
Yes. This is what we call a living vivarium. So everything in here is live, organic, all working together to create these beautiful little ecosystems. There's actually, holding all that humidity in here in this nutrient-rich soil, there's these little bugs in there called isopods and springtails, essentially nature's cleanup crew, if you will. They take down all of their frog waste, decaying plant matter, this leaf litter on top, and they churn it down and make it into nutrient-rich fertilizer, essentially, in their waste. And that takes care of this whole system all at once.
So it's basically just like they're in the jungle.
Essentially,
South America.
this enclosure has been going for over 7 years at this point. I just keep the glass clean and feed them, and occasionally trim plants, get to do the enjoyable stuff with them.
Now, I do see that you have some misters in them. That is one of the things that they need is water to keep that environment moist. It's a humid, adapted animal.
Absolutely.
Do you recommend misters in them on a timer, or can people just spray?
So it goes back and forth, and it depends on your lifestyle. This is not hard to keep humid, especially with the glass lid with a simple little pump sprayer. But if you're someone that travels or has a busy or chaotic lifestyle, having an automatic mister that makes us consistent and just to the point every time is a great investment.
Now, what about food? Food's important for every animal.
Absolutely.
What are we feeding the frogs, and how often do you feed them?
Absolutely. One of my favorite parts about dart frogs is their food. They eat flightless fruit flies. So a lot of people think fruit flies, and why would you want that in your house? But they're literally flightless. And they come in these little containers, and all you have to do is shake them out. They eat a lot of them, but there's a ton in that little tiny cup. So I typically feed at least 5 days a week on adults. Babies you can probably feed every single day. And I kind of let them eat till their heart's content type thing. We'll open it up in the morning after we spray them, tap a little bit of fruit flies in there, and have them go at it. And they will just keep eating and eating and eating. It's pretty amazing to watch them go at it.
Yeah. And Lee, I'm guessing that you actually turn a fair number of people off from these animals.
Like any animal, if it's not the right fit for you, it's just not the right fit. And when you're coming into here, this is why it's so important to have a shop like this, is people come and get a feel for it. You could be looking at these guys all day long and think, wow, what a great fit. But if certain key elements, they're not going to make them thrive, it's again a good idea to find a pet that would fit with you a little better.
Yeah, it's so important.
It is. It's
And
everything.
as a shop owner who's passionate about your animals, you want to find that right fit for the customer.
100%.
You don't want to send home an animal that's not going to thrive at their house. And so that's what's absolutely amazing about you and your shop. You're not just here to make money and sell animals. You really want to make sure that the customer has that good animal that they're going to be successful with in their home. So let's talk a little bit about the frogs. Who do you have? We have several different species here.
Yes.
So kind of talk about these guys up top.
These are some of my favorites ever. They're called mint terribilis. We actually just redid this whole enclosure. I've had these guys a little over 3 years now, and they're one of the largest dart frogs on the planet. Just incredibly beautiful. They look like little aliens to me, and they're one of the more bold frogs too. Bold meaning some frogs in here are absolutely gorgeous, but you'll never see them. They're very secretive and kind of secluded. These guys will sit up front all day in their little corner and just beg for food. And it's like, what are you doing? Where's my flies? They really have a lot of personality. And like I was saying before, they're awake during the day, which is huge. Diurnal frogs are not common. It's usually they're sleeping all day and don't do anything. And then when you're trying to sleep, a male is loudly calling, you know.
Yeah, which is not always a good thing in the middle of the night.
It might be hard to do next to your
just
pillow.
standing here for the last couple of minutes. I mean, these guys are bouncing all over the place. They're hopping all over. It's super fun to watch. I mean, I can see why people are interested and intrigued with bringing these guys home. So that's these guys. Let's move down. Who else do we have?
Right down here, these guys are called Campana auratus. And auratus are one of the first frogs I ever kept. They're a really nice communal frog, and they come in all sorts of different colors and patterns. These guys specifically start off almost black, and then they get this coffee and cream kind of color over time after about a year or so, which is really fun to watch.
And then how about these guys over here?
These guys are a big type of Tinctorius. Tinctorius are probably one of the more commonly kept dart frogs. This one specifically is called a cobalt Tinctorius, and he's a big example of a male.
Yeah, he is beautiful. The colorations on them.
The blues and yellows just pop against the green.
I think that's what people think about when they think about poison dart frogs, is those vibrant colors, which of course the frog is using to advertise not only to attract a mate, but it's a warning because these guys are called poison dart frogs, so they can extract a poison. But these guys don't, because we're not feeding them the same thing as what they would eat in the wild.
Yep. These guys have never had access to their wild diet, which is like beetles and ants, and that creates toxins out of their body. But even if you take them out of the wild, after about a year and a half, they're supposed to lose all that.
You still don't handle them.
I still won't put one in my mouth. I still don't play with them. I consider them a drier fish, if you will. Amazing to watch, but they're pretty slippery. So even if you are able to have one on your hand, they're trying to get away. People don't understand that frogs absorb everything through their skin. So even if you're just sweaty, that's not good for these guys. So if you do need to handle them to like transfer them or move them to a new enclosure, wash your hands with clean, like reverse osmosis water, or use some sterile gloves. That's the best practices.
Okay, and then we got these guys over here. These guys have these really cool blue speckles all over them.
They're almost metallic. They kind of shine. These are another type of auratus like the Campana, but these are called super blue auratus. And like you were saying, their patterns are all over the place, and even the intensity of the blue can really change a lot depending on the animal itself, which is fun.
Now, we have different species that are here. They're in separate enclosures, separate habitats. can we mix the species? Can they thrive together?
It is a highly, highly debated topic. So it's a yes and no answer type thing. You can keep them together in the right environment. This is actually a setup I've had going again over 7 years, and there is Campanaratus and a Piptobate Zeryoungas. The deal is these two frogs cannot hybridize even if they wanted to. The big issue that people have with mixing
Which means
frogs,
they can't mate together.
yes, they cannot
Right,
breed together, and they
Yep.
can't make a hybrid frog. But if they can get along together, and you've got an area, this is 3 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot, 90 gallons. They've got all these different spaces they can create for territories, really get away from each other. So it works really well. If you were a first-time dart frog keeper, I would always say just keep one frog, see if you like it. If you want another species, it gives you another excuse to buy a separate type.
Now, another thing when you're caring for an animal is sometimes they get sick.
Yes.
And you talked about, as these guys are amphibians, they absorb things through their skin.
Yep.
So medicating them is very different than, say, a dog or a cat or even
Yes.
your lizard or your snake.
Mhm.
So how would we go about medicating one of our frogs?
I would always recommend a specialized veterinarian. We are really lucky here in Arizona to have a couple dedicated vets. One of them is the Orange Grove Animal Hospital, and those guys are just wonderful with amphibians. It is a sensitive animal with such a small weight, so to get that accurately is huge. So I'd really put all my faith into a qualified person to do that. But getting captive, healthy bred animals, you really should not have many of those issues as long as you've got the right type of setup and you started off with healthy stock to begin with. And that's why we're all about buying captive bred, healthy frogs. And that really kind of puts the end to having to import these frogs in by the thousands and not have them do well due to stress and being skinny and just parasites and things.
And that's where advanced education is so important,
Yeah.
folks. If you're going to get an animal,
Yes.
always educate yourself for sure. Lee, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
both
this
of you.
This was absolutely amazing, and
This
I
was.
learned so much about these guys, and I also learned that it does take a lot. So again, just like Clint was saying, make sure to do your research before you get any animal, or especially a poison dart frog. And if you want to get a poison dart frog, Lee's your man. Come on in here to Ever Evolving Exotics, and he will set you up with everything you need to know. So, Clint, I think we've learned a lot here. Let's head back to the ranch and maybe close it up.
Awesome, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
All right, Lee. Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
All right.
Thank you.
Wow, what an amazing experience we had visiting Lee over at Triple E Pet Store, learning all about the poison dart frog. Now, Clint, while we were there, we touched on the difference between poison and venom, but I always think that's worth expanding on.
Oh, for sure. If any of you at home still have questions regarding the difference between a poisonous animal and a venomous animal, it's easy to remember it this way. Poison is ingested. Venom is injected, like through the fangs of a snake or the stinger of a scorpion.
Poison dart frogs are truly amazing animals and critical to a healthy ecosystem where they live. And did you know that the name poison dart frog actually comes from the indigenous people that live with them, where they will use a blow dart to extract poison off of the skin of the frog that they then use through a blow gun to be able to hunt with?
Thank goodness they only use it for hunting.
Oh, absolutely, because some poison dart frogs possess enough poison to kill 10 full-grown men, even in small amounts.
Well, we hope you enjoy learning all about the poison dart frog, and we'll see you next episode here on Critter Ed TV, where fear becomes wonder and wonder becomes passion.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.